Welcome to the Body Energetix Podcast. I'm your host, 23-year fitness professional, Lauren Cercione. I started my hero's journey of reconnecting with my inner child to heal my mind-body disorders 14 years ago. In this podcast, I share my 3-step system to renew your mind, regulate your emotions, and regenerate your body. Go to bodyenergetix.com to join my free community where each week we expand on the theme of the current episode so you can reconnect your mind body to restore your physical health and create your desired aesthetic.
Welcome to Body Energetix Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Cercione, 23-year fitness professional and 3 times self-healing champ. Now, this is going to be the same intro to 3 episodes, and the 3 episodes are based on the very first gamified coaching call that we just had in the Body Energetix community. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see there are 9 Post-its on the wall. We have 9 members in bodyenergetix.com. And I'm so happy about it because this is truly my life's purpose. And it is so rewarding that all of my heartache and all of my note-taking and all of my personal development and all of my pain and health issues have been useful to share with other people who might be going through something similar. So it's very fun to have the experience reflected back to me from the outside in. I'm very happy about this and very grateful for the women who are in the group. And it is open to men. You don't have to be just female oriented. There's only one module in the entire system that is around being feminine with eating and our menstrual cycle. Everything else applies to everybody. So join if you haven't joined, because this coaching call was so effective. We were on for 2 hours because I wanted to give the ladies space, as much space as they needed to express themselves and for us to create a strategy for the next 4 weeks of their life, create a strategy for their leaderboard so that they can get in the ranks again for the next coaching call, because the leaderboard goes to 0 every single month. So every single month you have a fresh opportunity to get coaching from me in a small group setting. There's only 3 people on the gamified coaching call. And we made a strategy or an accountability program of things that I am expecting them to post in the group every single day. So they're going to get support from me, because when they post in the group, I'm going to deepen whatever it is that they post to help them get even further along. That's going to bring their leaderboard up to give them, hopefully, access to another coaching call. Of course, you could do paid coaching with me in a coaching container that you have access to me almost at all times. But for the free container, participating is what gets you a monthly coaching call. So we did that today, and it took 2 hours, and it was so fabulous because now I have 3 podcast episodes to share with you based on the things that we talked about. And this is going to be so good because it's going to be more relevant to you because it's something that is someone else is experiencing right now and will help you on your path. And then if you're one of the ladies who was in the coaching call, one of these episodes is basically for you as a secondary coaching situation to help you through the thing that you're working on. What do I want to say? Okay, continued in this opening that's going to go onto each one of these episodes is the common thing that happened on the call was there was an inability to convey the feeling the emotional body was having. So when I would ask a question for all 3 of these women, part of their response was, it's hard to put words to. I'm not really sure. There was so much going on. I can't really answer that in a specific way. What that means is the emotions, the energy of sabotage and ghosting the habits, the emotional resistance that all 3 of these women are having are in dorsal. They're in the base operating system of the nervous system that is the rollover and play dead emotions. This is the freeze and fawn reaction to stay safe, to stay alive. The dorsal level is also your blueprint, your natal chart, your human design, your gene keys. They are the same thing. We call one dorsal as a fear reaction and survival, and we call the other our soul blueprint. Reason being, the soul blueprint of your charts is what, in my belief system and in many belief systems, take it or leave it, is what your soul, decided to experience in this human form. I'm Aries rising. My midhaven is in Capricorn. That is go, fight, win energy. That is strategy energy. That is discipline energy. That is leadership energy. And I'm in fitness. Makes sense, right? Chiron, the wounded healer, is in Taurus. That has to do with physical problems that you're coming to heal, not money problems, not relationship problems. I came here to heal through the physical body. And I had 3 life-changing events with my physical health. So it makes sense who I am in my profession. Who I am in my profession makes sense based on that blueprint. The dorsal is the same thing. If we are regulated, we're able to access that blueprint that's the unconscious, just way of being who we are. But if we're in dorsal, it is a repressed emotion that then dictates this natal chart or all of our reactions to be fear-based, because we then create a protective mindset in the sympathetic of fight or flee to make sure that that dorsal roll over and play dead emotion from our childhood does not happen again. Like the sympathetic fight and flee is something that we're doing unconsciously through our behavior and through our words to prevent 2 things. Number 1, to prevent the bad thing from happening again, whatever it is that sent us into dorsal as a child. And number 2, prevent our worst fears about us being a POS from being confirmed. So the sabotage questions and the resistance questions and the struggle questions that the ladies had today, they're aware of the problem, but when I ask a question from a feeling sensation, they can't access it. So they're aware of how they act and react and how shitty they feel because they can't do this thing with their habit, because that thing with the habit is actually attached to the dorsal roll over and play dead. God forbid I find out I'm a POS, I'm not good enough, I'm too much. Or if I follow through, my worst fears will come true. That's really what the inner child feeling and the adaptive teenager is thinking. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because to use the body energetic system, I was the same way, that I knew I felt bad, but I didn't know why I felt bad, and I didn't know what emotion was making me feel bad. So that's why I created the Body Energetix coding system, to look at the body parts that weren't working correctly, that were unhealthy, giving me pain, and that I didn't like, that I really wanted to change. I looked at those to say, what is the metaphysical meaning of these? What is the negative mindset that is associated with these body parts? And do I relate to any of that stuff? And because I was in dorsal and disconnected, when I looked up the metaphysical meanings and I looked up the negative mantras from Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Body, I sat with it to be like, does any of that resonate with me? Because if it does, then I must have experienced that negative mindset or that metaphysical meaning that's making me direct my focus to this area of my body that I don't like, or that's causing my body to deteriorate. That's the dorsal stuff that is the unconscious. And so the things that these 3 episodes are of what their accountability is for the next 4 weeks are giving them a focal point in 3D in their adult human to allow the resistance and sabotage of the adaptive teenager rear its ugly head, to assess it and pay attention to it and work with it, to then loosen the grip that the adaptive teenager is keeping on the inner child emotions from not being re-experienced. When we can feel those inner child emotions, the adaptive teenager in fight and flight is going to stop being so reactive. So then your adult self can follow through better with your habits. The outcome is that we get into the body of our dreams because we're finally being consistent with our habits. But what's actually happening is you're regulating your nervous system and you are moving up the autonomic ladder from dorsal, roll over and play dead emotions that you can't access, but you just know you feel bad, up into sympathetic to get the energy moving to actually face the worst fears and pay attention to the sabotage or the resisting, to then be able to eventually be in a ventral state where you are coherent and making decisions as a balanced human being, being aware of the feelings and being aware of your thoughts so that you don't let your habits go off the rail, so that you build a lifestyle to support your dream body to eventually become your dream body. We're reverse engineering it. And we're heading into this knowing that we're pulling up emotions. So it's a whole different mindset for this dream body acquisition. So that is your intro for all 3 of these episodes. We are now going to transition to video or podcast number 2 out of this series. This is the DNC. And the reason why this woman has a daily nutritional commitment as her homework, her home play for the 30-day period in between coaching calls that she could possibly win again next month, the thing that she's going to be posting in our group every single day, the thing that I'm going to be replying to every single day to deepen it. The reason why she has a daily nutritional commitment, 3 of these things, 3 things that she's going to do every day to get closer to her dream body that are effortless, effective, and enjoyable, the 3 E's. The reason why she has that is because she is anxiously attached. And she has feelings come up around worth and around abandonment in romantic relationships. And when she gets dysregulated, she can't follow through with anything. In her dysregulated attachment style, she cannot follow through. But when she is regulated, / maybe not regulated, but under control, repressing her emotions, she's able to tick all the boxes. And she even said that she does something that I used to do, was write something down just so that you can check the box, because that's the dopamine hit. So her job is not to track the macros, not to worry about how many workouts she's doing. As the anxious, less is more. So her homework is 3 DNCs, just 3 things to hit every single day. What this is going to do for her is, because of her upbringing, how it was with her grandparents and her mother, there was shame in who she was, regret in even loving and taking care of her, if you can believe that. She was given information that it was a regret to have her. The relationship was kind of sounded to be cut off in a certain way from her mother. So she's anxiously attached because of abandonment. So how that shows up in our desire to have the dream body is we get overly attached to the tools, nitpick the tools, make everything very, clingy, because doing it gives us the external validation that we are good enough to be in connection with, if we're just looking at it very plainly from abandonment. And the reason why it's so hardcore following and then nothing when she's dysregulated, when she's activated, when the emotions are ready to come up and she has lost control of being regimented because that energy is so overpowering, that sabotage is just taking the gas off, your foot off the pedal. Because for the anxious people can get a lot done, so much done. So can the avoidance, right? If you're avoiding yourself, you can go apply yourself to other areas to get external validation, mostly with work, with the avoidance. And then with the anxious, it's like we're so fine-tuned to make sure that we get everything right that we're very detailed. So that detail, because if we are detailed towards an outcome and we get the outcome, that gives us the external validation that we should have had from the caregiver. So when we don't have our reality validated by the caregiver, we are left to our own devices to figure out what this emotion is and why this thing is happening. Why is there this dynamic? And because we're a child and we don't have a lot of life experience at that point, really the only wheel of life we have to assess in our mind is our toys and snack time and nap time and our peers and our teachers and our siblings and our parents. And that all very simply has to do with the body. So if we don't have our experience validated on that mind-body connection, the mind cannot make a clear picture of what life is, especially in this scenario, based on the emotions happening in the body. Because the brain's job is to assess what's happening in the body. That's the mind-body connection energetically, from the emotions to the brain to comprehend it and give you a picture of what this is and a strategy to navigate it. So if our experience didn't get validated by being like grandma to this woman, it's so awful what has happened to your mom. I'm so sorry you don't have your mom here. I'm here and I'm going to do the very best that I can. She didn't have that. She kind of had the opposite. So number one, if she's not getting the sadness of abandonment recognized, she's got to make sense of why that happened. Why did mom leave me? And if I feel bad, like if there's just a bad feeling in the body because mom is gone and there's no one to say, it makes perfect sense that you feel bad right now and your feelings are hurt because your mom's not here. Because she didn't have that, her brain as the child has to just assess what this bad feeling means about her. So then we come into blame and self-doubt. So that mindset gets locked in. So the mind created a form of reality based on not having anybody validate that, yeah, you should have this bad feeling. Given what you've gone through, this makes perfect sense. Then when that emotion is seen and the child is hugged and can cry, crying lets you go up the autonomic ladder to then get into ventral. You feel better usually after you cry because you're in ventral. You're in the connecting social aspect of being human, not protective. So because that didn't happen for the anxious style to not have our feelings validated, when we create this goal for our body, the body kind of becomes the parent to where the expectations that we had to do for the parent, or the way the parent or caregiver projected onto us their pain and their inability to help us manage our emotions, we take those things and apply it to the tools. So then the tools become the external validator for us to have this sense of connection. And as evidenced in her behavior, when she gets dysregulated, she cannot stick with her habits because the external is inconsequential. It's the internal that matters. So if she doesn't have the internal connection, because the repressed emotions are now a little like that, like the apps on your phone, because now she's in that state, she's activated where before she was suppressed, and that's why she was able to follow through with the things. Because now she's activated, she can't follow through with the external because the internal is so discombobulated. So that's the reason why I told her, don't worry about doing all the things, do the 3 things. Because the 3 things are going to be activating because they're not going to be enough for her reward system that she has set up in her head to feel valid based on the inner child stuff. For her not to have the external validation to check a box and make herself feel good, that's going to activate more stuff for her. But if we can do it together and I can support her and she's doing it slowly with just 3 things and she understands the process, when she's activated, because there's not this big thing to undo with macros, with water, with this, with that, with that, she's going to be able to stick with habits to keep moving her body in the direction that she wants to go. And she's going to have something very plainly to see her activated emotions. So when she posts in the group, I didn't hit my 3 DNCs today and I feel terrible. This, and this happened today. Then we have a conversation about energy. Then we can see her activated emotions and be like, whoa, are we dealing with your rollover and play dead emotions from your inner child? Or are we dealing with your adaptive teenager protection to not let those things be true about you, those emotions be true about you? We can actually see what's happening. And because we've pulled off the table external validation through obsessive habits, and maybe it wasn't obsessive, she probably was just doing like regular habit tracking. It's just that she can't continue it when she's dysregulated. She's always dysregulated when she's activated. So because we eliminated the thing that's going to deter her from getting her dream body, and we've put in support for her dream body kind of under the rug to allow us to have the deeper conversations of her adaptive teenager ghosting or sabotage protection habits of her sadness and disappointment of the inner child. Now we actually have something to work up the ladder of her nervous system so that she can be in ventral more often than not, to then when she's ready, maybe add on different habits and be able to follow through with them, even when shit hits the fan in an area of life that causes her to remember a rupture from her inner child that's going to activate her adaptive teenager to protect that inner child. That's going to happen less and less. And in the process of it happening less and less, when it does happen, because I don't believe you should prevent your sabotage. I believe if the sabotage is happening, you should stay aware of it as much as you can so that you can assess it while it's happening. So as she gets activated with life stress, and she only has these 3 DNCs, she's going to have an easier time being able to stay aware of what she's thinking and feeling because we've eliminated her external validator that's giving her the dopamine hit that's kind of like giving her a cover up to her emotions on a molecular level. Now that she doesn't have that dopamine hit, she's just kind of stuck with who she is unconsciously. And then that's where we're going to be able to work with the mental emotional, which is going to regulate her nervous system, which is going to make her body healthy. By the way, she has neck and back issues and inflammation. It's going to make her body healthier. And she's going to be able to really know what that dream body means to her, aside from how she's transferred the parent caregiver dynamic to the meaning that she's made her dream body. That's all going to go away. It's all going to assimilate. We're always going to walk with our shadow. Our shadow never leaves us. We do not want our shadow to leave us. And that is a big thing that people think is supposed to happen. Our shadow is supposed to be one with us. Our shadow has done an incredible job of helping us become who we are, because she's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So she's going to feel more united to these aspects of herself that she's been denying, which is kind of the dorsal inner child stuff of whatever feelings she was having. In conclusion, so this segment right here that I'm sharing with you right now is going to go on the tail end of every single one of these videos. In conclusion, if this was helpful, I would really love for you to give a 5-star rating and review on your podcast players. Tag me on social media at Body Energetix with an X, or at Lauren Sercione. Go to bodyenergetix.com to join the gamified coaching community. It is like a personal training and diet store, because you have all different strategies. You have a guide to assess where you are mentally and emotionally. You have a guide to set your goal. And then once you set your goal, I have this little template that then tells you what tool to use to get that goal. In the videos, feel like I'm having a one-on-one conversation with you, telling you what to do. So it's very simple. And when you check the box, when you watch a module, your leaderboard goes up, gets you into the running to be the top 3 for the gamified coaching that's on the first Saturday of every month. When you post on the wall, it's, question or an insight or an aha moment, whatever, and I respond to it, and then you respond again. Your leaderboard just went up twice. If somebody posts and you relate and you encourage or you congratulate someone, your leaderboard goes up. So in other words, the more work you do for yourself and the more you support your community, the more support you get. And like I said, that coaching call was 2 hours. I had initially said that it was just going to be an hour, but I was like, it's not what it's about. It's not about the time. It's about how can you feel that basically every strategy can work, and basically every hang up that you have is mental emotional, and we can access it strategically with habit change and nervous system regulation, and reflecting on how the inner child and the adaptive teenager shows up specifically in the autonomic nervous system. So then we're doing this mental emotional work to get the body healthy and regulated, which makes you more conscious to be able to follow through with your habits, which then will get you to your outcome. So we're kind of like going through the back entrance to your dream body, because we're looking at the sabotage and the resistance and the fantasies that we made about it, that are going to validate us, that are going to validate our reality that wasn't validated when we were kids. It's causing all these issues. So good, so good. So thank you so much for listening to this, bodyenergetix.com. So thank you so much for being here. I will see you when I see you. I hope to see you in bodyenergetix.com, where you can get gamified coaching.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you found it helpful, please give me a 5-star rating and review. Share it with your friends. Tag me on social media at Body Energetix with an X, or at Lauren Sercione, and I'll reshare you to my story. We'll see you in the Body Energetix community at bodyenergetix.com.